COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by a novel coronavirus that was discovered in Wuhan, China in December 2019. Coronavirus can be spread from a person to person. Hence, Malaysia implemented travel restrictions and quarantine at the start of COVID-19 outbreak. However, with a continued increase in new COVID-19 cases, the movement control order was eventually implemented on March 18, 2020. Now, what happened later on? All the business except those offering vital services and supplies must close. As a result, the vast majority of individuals lost their jobs, had to switch jobs, as well as reduction in their income. Job losses during COVID-19 are the most pressing issue in the world now, and many people are aware of the consequences. According to Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zaiful Tengku Abdul Aziz, the average of the households have 4 members, which means that if 1 million individuals lost their jobs, up to 4 million dependents may be affected. This was the greatest jobless rate since 1980s commodity crisis. According to the Department of Statistics of Malaysia, the employment rate in 2020 was 4.5%. However, it slightly increased in 2021 to 4.6% of unemployed person. Therefore, the goal of faced by people who lost their jobs and the lastly steps should be have taken to mitigate the crisis.
Moving on to methodology. Hi, my name is Gavrila, and I will be explaining our methodology. We conducted a survey on job loss during the COVID-19 pandemic using a Google form and distributing it over WhatsApp and Instagram. We targeted those who are currently employed since they have direct experience of the situation and are aware of the consequences suffered by those who lost their jobs as a result of the MCO. Because the intended audience are employed people, the age range are between 20 to 40 years and above. Next, relevant questions are asked, including their education level and household income, to determine whether their job loss issue at their company had a different impact. The most important component of this questionnaire is that it raises awareness of the issue. The questions concern public realization of the issue, knowing people close to them who lost their jobs, the cause of the crisis during the epidemic, and the effects they encountered when they lost their jobs.
Based on the survey that we have conducted, the philosophical perspective we are focusing on is psychology, which centers around an individual mind on the way they represent themselves, and sociology, which examines the community along with the impact on individual lives. The survey shows that most of them are working adults above 40 and above, which will make it easy to examine the state of joblessness in the society. In this graph, 100% of them acknowledge that they are aware of this crisis, which depicts the pandemic's influence on Malaysians. On this graph, 94.7% of them also knew of those who had been affected, such as colleagues and family members. As to the question, what is the reason for them losing their job? Many of them provided insights into the actual working conditions. For instance, companies closing down, firing employees to maintain business operations or downsizing, employers closing businesses due to lack of consumers, cost cuts, and many other examples. This means that the public is concerned about this issue and analyzes the reason for it. The following section focuses on the consequences of the situation, the most common of which is mental health. Approximately 90% agreed that this had an impact on the mental health of those who had lost their jobs. Some examples of mental health issues are depression, anxiety, and stress. Meanwhile, 94% believe the financial difficulties are the most significant concern.
What are the consequences of losing your job?
When I lost my job during the pandemic, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to pay my bills and maintain my household. My husband and I had to cut off from the things we enjoy and compromise on the situation. The first thing we did was to secure our financial savings, but still it was not enough. We had to loan from my husband's parents, and I think overall it was detrimental to our mental health because we spent so many sleepless nights trying to figure out what we can do to put enough food on the table for our family. So yeah.
My next question is, what measures should be taken to avoid this issue possibly in the future?
For me, I think savings are the most important, and that you gotta be ready for whatever that will come and that will hit you. And I also think that in the future, companies should consider giving flexible and remote working hours, so therefore they can save costs. Companies and businesses should also strategize for whenever these types of scenarios happen to increase the job security of their employees.
Overall, it is evident from our research that the global crisis has impacted many people in Malaysia, particularly those who have lost their jobs. Even once the MCO is lifted, many are unable to weather the Covid-19 storm. The government initiated measures to address this issue, such as Budget 2021, which includes steps to secure the jobs and incomes of the B40, households with under 30% of the wages. The Short-Term Employment Program, which assured jobs for 50,000 workers. Public policy that encourage job retention and job creation by firms. And policies that facilitate workers' upskilling and reskilling. Therefore, the government and corporations should take preventative measures to take cover in the event that something similar occurs again in the future. For example, every employment contract should include clauses that protect an employee's jobs during a crisis, as well as programs that improve an individual's skills such as digital and life skills, which are becoming popular in today's society and increase the likelihood of obtaining or retaining jobs that can be done from home. Big changes begin with small steps, and with these measures, we might be able to recover economically, plus improve the state of joblessness.